Urban Meyer says that name, image, and likeness has become flat out cheating in college sports. And he's right. I'll tell you why. Plus, Lisa Bluder just retired as the head basketball coach of the Iowa women's basketball team. I was a little surprised by that. Locked On Big Ten starts right now.
You are Locked On Big Ten, your daily podcast on the Big Ten Conference. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On Big Ten. I'm Craig Sheeman, coming up on 40 years as a sports talk show host and play-by-play announcer, and I want to thank you for making us your first listen each and every day. We're free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. So a couple of really good topics to dig deep into here. Urban Meyer says NIL is cheating, and Lisa Bluder retires at Iowa. Plus, we'll have our Tuesday tweets here today. But former Ohio State football coach Urban Meyer still casts a really big shadow over college football when he speaks, and people listen, myself included. That's why you got a lot of people's attention here recently when he said that name, image, and likeness, or NIL, as it is called, has become flat out cheating. Well, how did he get to that conclusion? He said, overall, NIL is great, okay, but it's become an arms race and it's hurting college football. He used Caitlin Clark as an example. He said that if a company wants to put her face on their billboards and advertise and pay her for it, great. That's awesome. That's how NIL is supposed to work. No problem. But what Meyer says is happening around college athletics, he says just groups of collectives are collecting tons and tons of money from donors, and the donors are paying the players straight out. And he goes, and he's right. That's how it is happening. And that's not how it was supposed to really happen in the first place. It was supposed to be more like the example he just gave and that I repeated to you a minute ago regarding Caitlin Clark. He said these groups of collectives are just collecting all this money and just doling it out. And he went on to say how 17-year-old kids are now just demanding money just to attend a recruiting visit. Hey, you want to recruit me? I'm going to visit 5 schools. Each one of these 5 schools is going to pay me 10 grand just for showing up. I don't think that's what anybody had intended. That's happening a lot, by the way. I've heard Nick Saban say the same thing. Or these kids, maybe they're playing for a team and they pop in to visit a charity for a few minutes and they get paid 50 grand by the collectives. He says that's cheating. That's not a level playing field. That's not how NIL was set up to help student athletes. Now remember, name, image, and likeness was supposed to be completely separate from athletic departments, completely separate for being used to recruit kids in a direct pay for play model. That's exactly what's happening. And Urban Meyer is very disappointed at how this system has evolved. I mean, he's right. You're not supposed to be able to go recruit a kid. And kid says, all right, coach, I need $1.5 million to show up. And the coach finds it for him. That's not what was supposed to happen. That's exactly what's happening all over the country, coaches all over the country, Nick Saban included. Said recruiting visits have turned into just families the minute you walk in the door. All right, how much money can my kid get? How much money can we get? What's it? Never mind. Let me come in here and promote to you why Alabama or whatever school I'm promoting for you, Michigan, Ohio State. If you go to school here and get an education, here's what you can do, because 95% of you aren't going to play pro football. All right, you need a job. You need a career. You need a degree. Here's what the prestige of going to Michigan can get you in life. Here's what the prestige of going to Ohio State can get you in life. No, they don't want to hear any of that. They want to hear how much money they can get. And if it turns out to not be true, they're out of there the next year and they'll go somewhere else that'll promise it to them. Remember, Urban Meyer hasn't coached in 6 years. He hasn't had to deal with this at all. NIL wasn't a thing. It was just getting started when he left the game. But his opinion is still valid. And the numbers are quickly becoming staggering. Have you ever heard of a basketball player called Great Osabor? Great is his first name. His parents named him Great Osabor. Most of you probably haven't heard of him. He's played at Montana. And he's played at Utah State. And now he's transferring to Washington. So he's going to be in the Big Ten. You're going to get a chance to see him. He's not coming to Washington for free. When he arrived, he'll have at the age of 21, he will have $2 million waiting for him in NIL opportunities already set up. That's what it took to get him. A player you've probably never heard of just got $2 million to walk in the door at Washington. And if Washington hadn't offered it to him, somebody else would have. But, at Utah State last year, he actually had a pretty good year. He averaged 18 points, 9 rebounds, 3 assists, a block, and a steal per game. Those are great numbers. They really are. But they were off the radar a little bit. But apparently, those numbers are worth $2 million next year. Not bad for a 21-year-old. Some schools can throw kids that kind of money. Some can't. That's why we keep telling you we have to keep an eye on this lawsuit called the House versus the NCAA. It's coming up in a few months. If it comes up at all, the NCAA is accused of holding back student athletes' ability to earn money. This was right before NIL arrived. The NCAA is going to get hammered in this lawsuit. They're going to lose, and they're going to lose big, and it's going to be billions of dollars. That's why they're trying to settle by creating some sort of revenue sharing plan with athletes that could cost athletic departments across the country $30 million a year. It's going to be a line item in their budget. All right, great. You're making $70 million a year. We'll take $30 million out. It's going to student athletes. We're going to share it. Once that's in place, name, image, and likeness, the playing field should become a lot more level for all the schools because everybody will be playing by the same rules. Or how about just some rules? Some rules. Anyway, let me know what you think about Urban's comments, whether you think we've crossed the line of cheating, whether you're so used to it, you don't even care anymore. It's just part of doing business. That may be how you feel as well. So we'll talk about that. You can hit us up on Twitter or comments on YouTube as well. Now, we're getting closer to college football season. And Big Ten on Saturday night on NBC and Peacock has announced its first 2 games of the season. This is where it gets tangible. This is awesome. Week 1 will feature defending national champion Michigan, the Wolverines, as Sharon Moore makes his official head coaching debut against Fresno State on August 31st. That's under the lights, ready to go. The following week, week 2, September 7th, it's Coach Prime, Deion Sanders and Colorado at Nebraska in Lincoln. That game could match up some great storylines at quarterback. Colorado, of course. Deion's kid is the quarterback, Shedeur Sanders. Some think he will be a very high draft pick in the NFL next year, while the Huskers could be led by a true freshman in Dylan Raiola, who we've talked about a lot on this podcast. That's going to be under the lights, primetime, second week of the season. In other broadcast news, that's not broadcast news, but it was announced anyway. I kind of laughed. The annual Michigan-Ohio State game will indeed be where it has always been on November 30th. It will kick off at noon, as it always does. It'll be on Fox. This is according to Fox. They made an announcement on Monday. Last year's game drew 19 million viewers. It's the biggest college football draw of the entire regular season. By the way, Ohio State already is a whopping 10-point favorite in that game against the Wolverines this year. Wolverine fans aren't going to like that, but it might be the case. We'll see. Fox was in New York. All the networks unveiled their fall broadcast schedules and their plans so their advertisers could see what's what, and that's why they made the announcement. This will be year 2 of the Big Ten's 7-year, $7 billion media rights deal with Fox, CBS, and NBC. Big Ten is in good shape. Good shape. Hey, if you like what you hear and see every day on this podcast, please subscribe. I always ask you guys to subscribe. Just click the button for free. That's it. Nothing else is required. And then we're all in the same Big Ten loop here. You can subscribe and follow Locked On Big Ten for free wherever you get your podcast. That way you get the latest episode of this podcast as soon as it becomes available each and every day. So Lisa Bluder retired from Iowa. Just out of the blue. I was surprised. Are you? We'll talk about that next. Locked On Big Ten continues in 1 minute. All right, I want to tell you about LinkedIn Jobs. Look, if you're hiring for a small business, maybe you own the business, maybe you manage it. And you got to find people because people come and go. It's part of it, but it's tough because it takes away from your time from your job. Now you got to go find somebody else to do this other job, and you're probably covering for this other person as well. LinkedIn Jobs is where you need to go. LinkedIn Jobs has the tools to help find the right professionals for your team faster and for free. And it isn't just a job board. LinkedIn helps you hire professionals you can't find anywhere else, even those who aren't actively searching for a new job, but they might be open to a perfect role, and you find their bio information, and boom, you'll be in contact and ready to go. In a given month, over 70% of LinkedIn users, they don't visit other leading job sites. So if you're not looking on LinkedIn, you're looking in the wrong place. LinkedIn knows that small businesses are wearing so many hats and might not have the time or the resources to hire. Maybe that's you. LinkedIn is constantly finding ways to make the process easier. They even just launched a feature that helps you write job descriptions and making the process even easier and quicker. 2.5 million small businesses are using LinkedIn for hiring. So post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedoncollege. That's linkedin.com/lockedoncollege to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. So I want to thank everybody for making Locked On Big Ten your first listen every day, especially you everydayers out there. Meanwhile, be sure to subscribe on YouTube and share and follow and like Locked On Big Ten, your team or your teams every day. Hey, don't forget to check out our website, talkbig10, 10.com. All of our podcasts are right there at your fingertips. So I got to be honest, this caught me by surprise on Monday, but Iowa women's basketball coach Lisa Bluder announced her sudden retirement. She had coached for 40 years, including the past 24 years as the head coach of Iowa. Longtime Iowa assistant Jan Jansen, who's been the associate head coach under Bluder for 20 years. You've seen her on the sidelines right next to her forever. She will immediately take over the Hawkeyes program. So a lot of experience and knowledge of the Iowa program. Just should be a seamless transition there. But back to Bluder for a moment. Among her numerous accolades, she won 884 games as a head coach in her career. That's 10th most in NCAA women's basketball history. She is the winningest women's coach in Big Ten history. And while at Iowa, she led the Hawkeyes to 5 Big Ten tournament titles, 2 shared Big Ten regular season titles, and 22 postseason appearances, and the last 2 national championship games. Came up the short end of the championship game, but they got to the championship game 2 years in a row. It was a great run, and she will always be associated with the great Caitlin Clark, who just graduated from Iowa as the NCAA's all-time leading scorer and just became the number 1 pick of the WNBA draft. Lisa Bluder, it was a great, great career at Iowa. Speaking of basketball, men's basketball, former 7'4" Purdue giant, Zach Edey, he's at the NBA draft combine right now. Now, he's known as a dominant big man. We all know that. We've all seen him. He's unstoppable in the paint, but he played strictly in the paint at Purdue. And many thought that that fact would hurt him in the NBA draft and in his pro game and his pro career. After all, the NBA is a shooter's league with a lot of lateral movement and whatnot. That wasn't his strength. However, he's getting some people's attention. But by people, I mean scouts and NBA GMs, because he's been hitting 3-point shots at this combine. Now, he claims he can hit them. He claims he just wasn't asked to or even allowed to under Matt Painter and Purdue. And in fact, he only made 1 3-pointer in his career. And it was this year, his last year there, where he banked one in, just having some fun against the Indiana Hoosiers. So we'll see how he does. I am very curious to see where Zach Edey goes. I've seen everything from now top 15 pick as he's climbing. There were a lot of people said, he'd barely be a second-round pick. There were people say he wouldn't be drafted because his game doesn't fit today's NBA. I think a couple weeks ago, early first round, maybe late first round, early second round. But now, with all these stories about how he's shooting the lights out of the ball, I heard today's high is 15, right in the middle of the first round. So we'll see. I saw a mock draft said the Miami Heat taking him at 15. We'll see. We'll see. All right, back to football for a minute. Former Nebraska edge rusher Chief Borders is transferring to Pittsburgh for the 2024 season. Played his first 2 seasons at Florida, and he's bounced around. Played 12 games for the Huskers last season, had 9 tackles. So he's bounced around a lot, trying to find a home. Ohio State added punter Anthony Veneri, who punted for the University of Buffalo last year. Averaged about 44 yards a punt. Pretty good that he's used to punting in bad weather. Maybe that'll help if he is the first string punter at Ohio State this year. And speaking of Buffalo, former Michigan State redshirt freshman defensive back Eddie Pleast is leaving Lansing for Buffalo. Either way, he'll need a winter coat there. So he takes off as well. Hey, if you watch daytime TV, whether you're at the office, whether you work from home, and you got the talking heads on FS1 or Fox or ESPN, all the blathering gets a little loud. Sometimes you get turned down the volume. They're arguing with each other. You know what? Make a change. Go to Locked On Sports Today. It's 24/7. It's free. It's a sports streaming channel programmed for you every day to bring you the biggest stories without all the screaming and nonsense. Locked On Sports Today brings you can't miss analysis, opinions, and news, streaming 24/7 on YouTube or for free on the Amazon Fire TV Channels app, which we promote all the time because we're on it. It's part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. All right. It is about time for our Tuesday tweets. By the way, do you follow me on Twitter? X at Talk Big Ten, number 10. I'll follow you back. I always hit you back, and I always comb it through. I like to retweet funny and amusing or interesting stuff, and I collect them. And by the end of the week, I pick a few of the best ones, and we always do it here in our third segment. If you're new to us here at Locked Up Big Ten, we've picked up a lot of subscribers here recently, so you may be new. Our third segment every week, we do a fixed segment. Monday, it's always our Big Ten top 10 observations for the weekend. Tuesday, we do our Tuesday tweets. It's kind of like a Tuesday tweets mailbag segment, as if you will. Wednesdays, we always power rank something in that third and final segment. Thursday, we take a look at the weekend at the Big Ten Network. Even though we're not affiliated with the Big Ten Network, we cover the same stuff. I always look at the weekend schedule for the Big Ten Classics and also live programming. Always like to put that schedule out on Thursdays. And then Fridays, we do picks. Football season is pigskin picks, basketball picks. We look at Vegas odds, all kinds of fun stuff here in the off season that we'll check out as well. So that's all coming up. We'll get our Tuesday tweets. That's next. We'll see if you made the list. That's next here, right here on Locked On Big Ten. All right, it's time for our Tuesday tweets segment. We'll get it on the big board here. If you're on audio only, we'll describe them as best as we can. And I'll put them here on full screen. And we'll start having some fun with this stuff. This starts off from a tweet from the Big Ten Network, actually. And this was this week. Huskers on top, the 2024 men's at Big Ten outdoor track and field champions. Hashtag Huskers. Good job. The Huskers winning all that. Little video clip is here. Not a lot of red in there. That's a blue and gray. That's a little unusual for Nebraska, but we got some more Nebraska stuff coming up, so hang tight there. Here it is, right here. This is a picture of Memorial Stadium in Lincoln, all lit up in red with fireworks. It is promoting the fact of what we just talked about. This is from at Barstool Husker. It says Colorado has zero idea what they are walking into. Break the sound barrier, Husker Nation. This is a promo for the game we just talked about. Week 2, September 7th, primetime, NBC. Coach Prime and Colorado Buffaloes coming into Lincoln to take out Nebraska in front of a national television audience. Again, this is going to be a great quarterback matchup between Shedeur Sanders and Dylan Raiola, and I'm looking forward to that. So I'm looking forward to all of these, but this is going to be great. All right, after starting off with a couple of Nebraska tweets, got one here with helmet or 2 players of Ohio State and Michigan face to face mask to face mask. It is from at FF Buck. It is Ohio State versus Cleveland. It is the game. It is a way of life in college football, and it lists the 5 most hate-filled rivalries in college football. Number 1, Michigan and Ohio State, followed by Alabama and Auburn. That is the Iron Bowl at number 2. South Carolina versus Clemson, number 3. I agree with that. I lived in South Carolina for years. That is a hugely underrated rivalry. It belongs there at number 3. Oklahoma and Texas, the Red River at number 4, and Mississippi State and Ole Miss at number 5. Yeah, I don't disagree with any of that. I think that that list, that top 5 is spot on, and it is in the right order. I really do. All right, let's see what else we have here. This is from at Barstool, Iowa. Iowa's brand new single season strikeout leader, and has a picture of Brody Breck, who's just on fire the way he pitches. So there you go. We also have more from Iowa at Iowa women's basketball. University of Iowa graduate. This is a close-up and a thumbs up of Caitlin Clark holding her graduate degree, her certificate. And you can't tell it's her if I didn't tell you it was. It's just a close-up of her Indiana Fever workout jersey and the thumbs up, which leads me to believe that possibly she missed her graduation ceremony because now she's a professional basketball player, and it looks like somebody gave it to her there at practice. But she did graduate. 4 years of hard work there at Iowa. Congratulations. And again, big news. Lisa Bluder stepping away. Here's some more Iowa basketball. This is from at David Eckholt. Iowa's Peyton Sanford, a picture of him continuing to ascend up the NBA mock draft boards. In the latest ESPN version, Sanford is nearing first round status. He says a legitimate, difficult decision will have to be made by May 29th as to whether he's coming back to school or going to make a run for it and try and get drafted in the NBA. I'd say if he's borderline first round, he'll stay. He'll stay in the draft and go pro. Here is a video clip of at Blue by 90, Michigan, Big Ten tournament champions for Michigan softball. Congratulations to them. They beat Indiana 3-1 in the championship game over the weekend, and they are one of 4. In fact, both Michigan and Indiana, 2 of the 4 teams going into the NCAA tournament. The other ones were Penn State and Northwestern. So congratulations to all of them. Here is from at the Scarlet and Gray. It is a picture of this is a high school kid. He's very big. 2025 4-star offensive lineman Henry Fennecu. He says the Ohio State visit was the best one he's ever been to so far. And he visited the Buckeyes this past season, so we'll see if he's going to be an offensive lineman for Ohio State. He looks ready right now. That's a 17-year-old kid right there. Huge. Here is from at D Turp. Michigan State is reportedly one of 2 schools going after Longwood big man Simon Zapala, who averaged 10 points and 5.6 rebounds and 1 block per game last season. Started at Utah State. Good size at 7 foot. But this comment goes on to say it's a little odd and disappointing that they're going after this type of big man. I guess they don't like the caliber of the big man that they're going for here. Meanwhile, here is from at PFF College Football. It says, who was snubbed from the cover? It is the cover of the brand new EA Sports College Football 25 video game. You see Donovan Edwards of Michigan, the back of his jersey right in the middle. Quinn Ewers from Texas. Travis Hunter, the corner and receiver from Colorado. By the way, Shedeur Sanders did not make it. Scandalous, among others. Jalen Milroe is in there. You see some other guys in there as well. So that came out, or it was announced this week who was going to be on the cover. So there it is. And those are our Tuesday tweets. I hope you enjoyed those as always. We always have fun with those. Again, those are on Tuesday. Many ways for you to interact with me, including at Twitter, X, Talk Big Ten. Follow me there. Comments on YouTube, and then our website. You see the crawl on the bottom, talkbig10number10.com. Would love to hear from you. A lot of you have been really going at it strong lately. I'm trying to get to those and answer them as quickly as I can. In the meantime, be sure to subscribe if you haven't already. We're going to go over 8,000 probably in the next day or so. Maybe you could be the one that pushes us off over the top. You can follow this podcast right now on your favorite podcast app, and you'll get the latest episode of Locked On Big Ten as soon as it is available each day. I always invite you to watch more. Watch another one after this one. You can always find them on our website, talkbig10number10.com. And also, don't forget, Locked On has a 24/7 streaming channel called Locked On Sports Today, if you want to check that out as well. Thank you for checking us out. We'll be back with more of the latest news in college football, more big picture stories affecting our favorite sport. Also got an eye on the hoops as well. And we got baseball coming up too. So all that right here on Locked On Big Ten. I'm Craig Sheeman. Thanks for checking us out. Can't wait to talk to you next time.